Nuair a léon tú faoin na fillí iontacha a rugadh agus a tógadh sa cheantar seo leithéidí art na cuaí agus Peadar Ó Dornín agus daoine den cinneann sin agus an tradiisiún atá foiag acu a dúine, tradiisiún filiach na mard. Ar an level cíarna inis tá inchor cíarna deanta ag Josephine Keegan, margheall ar an méide tá deanta aigi.
Is úntachan an bhailín na dár tá sin an bhailín ar haint, tá sin an piano a haint ar bhean éonach, tá sin an túnlachan ar an piano a thuirta do ceoltarí eile, tá sin an ceol a chuomhnú agus a fáilsiú, agus tá si in an ceol a chuma, céir eile a bheith chuait.
Any child who learns to play Irish traditional piano, they should be handed a copy of an old Josephine Keegan album and told that's how it's done. Apart from just the musicality of it, just the technical skill and just the knowledge of the structure of the music, it's all there. It's the textbook of how you should do it.
I was born in Dundee in 1935. My earliest listening to music would have been my father played the flute in the house. He never lost and never wanted to lose what he had learned before. He took the flute with him and he played it everywhere. I was 4, it was just coming time of the war, and I thought it was time to get out of there. So we came across and been living here in Armagh since then. Mullaban, South Armagh, we're right in the Ring of Gullion, at the foot of what was once a volcano, Slieve Gullion. Times were tough for everybody in the 40s and 30s actually when I was born. But I was fortunate enough that we had a very happy family life. My father played music in the house and we had our records. My father had his own stack of records and we were given a small gramophone with our set of records.
Is cinse gur ceol hartarí mar agus gur ceoltarí héin agus become cén cinál ceol bhil sé sin bhil sé ábhalt an ceol sin henim go maiid.
I was brought to boarding school when I was 10. And I started formal lessons there with the fiddle and piano. There was once then I was playing fiddle for one of the students that was doing a dancing competition. And when we arrived for the competition, there were 2 fiddles, I think, and a piano. And it was the first time really that I had come up against this sort of thing live. Piano accompaniment, I was fascinated with the whole thing. So went back to school and tried to suss it out for myself, and I've been sussing it out since. So nobody ever taught me accompaniment or anything like that. It's just something that I went with, you know. It was Sean O'Driscoll from Newry that was the piano player at that time. So we became friends, and then it was into the Kelly band era, I suppose. O'Driscoll was in one of the local bands, Ceola Newr, so I played with that off and on. And then the John Murphy band, Vincent Law's band. There were lots of Kelly bands. I think there must have been more Kelly bands in County Armagh than there were anywhere else. Pat Murphy, who lives here in Mullaban now, but came from Craigin-Duff. His family and my family were good musical friends for years. And we played in the John Murphy Kelly Band, 56. That was when the band started first, and we had many's an expedition out with that. It would take too long to tell you all those things. But his brother John started the band, and Pat was in it, and his brother Peter, God rest him, was in it. Jarlath Burns' father was in it. My father came and played in it sometimes. So it was like a parish thing, really.
Geocht an nigel sa ceoltarí ach ag tunnachan an piano an sin tuigeann sí achanrud tarsúla agus ní churann sí Jack sa bhealach an ceoltar sin rud mar tuigeann sí an spás atá í ar an vigilir sa ceol. Sin rud agsúil atá aici an rud special atá aici ar an piano.
When I had heard Sean O'Driscoll playing accompaniment first, I thought it was a wonderful thing to do. And it was from then on that I tried to do it myself. But I think what helped me in it was the fact that I was a player myself and that I knew most of the tunes. It helps when you know the tunes and you know where the tune is going, where your next chord is going to come from. But there's a difference in playing with different instruments and different people. The rhythm comes from whoever's playing. I would just fit myself in with whoever because basically it's an accompaniment. It's not a thing that you're doing to be heard. You're doing something to enhance whoever is playing. I was never taught to do it. It's just a natural thing. I like the idea of accompaniment and I enjoy playing with so many different people. I enjoy playing in a good big session where everybody's playing together and knitting the thing together, you know.
I met her first here in Mullaban at the Stray Leaf Folk Club, and I was just fascinated by what the lady could do, her creativity with chords, when you sit and play with Josephine, it's a whole different experience. Like she kind of just picks you up and leaves you off somewhere else. You don't realise, you know, it's so different to what I would have liked the Kelly Band type of piano. Like this was a real musical experience altogether. When I first became aware of Josephine, I would have thought I didn't know much other than that she lived at the time in London. This was the 60s and 70s. Getting to know her later on, I've realised it's a tremendously important time in her life and that a lot of her contribution to music at the time would have started there and would have lived since that period. But she would talk, and still does, fondly of like Finbar Dwyer and Danny Meehan and people like that. We all know Sean Maguire was part of that whole scene at the time as well.
When Sean Maguire came on the scene and was doing what he did with the tunes, which in my opinion was no harm at all, he was condemned in certain quarters for his ornamentation. A lot of people put down the idea of piano accompaniment as well. Maguire, he had the tradition from his father. He had it in the family. He knew the whole feeling of a tune. He could do his ornamentation without spoiling the whole thread of the thing or the whole feel of it. And that's a natural gift. Something I wish I could do, but I can't.
Caswara mi beidir harfa tús na seachtaí nuair a bhí sí ag sinne a goide Sean Maguire. Agus Caswara mi hís a gunda Longford. Cinál tionach na bhí sí abal a chur tíomhhir de cheol cheáin. Bhí sé do creite, just chuir sé leis, chuir sé funineh agus chuir sé tíomhhir de cheol Sean Maguire. No, nis tá funineh ar dóigh Sean Maguire ina chuid ceol anyway. Ach bhí an rud seo a go leis agus híl mé gur raibh fórsa umlan ceol ar an stáitú níos sin.
Josephine in particular has been a link to the outside world. There's not a musician in Ireland, any of the great musicians in Ireland that she hasn't played with, she hasn't accompanied. People have come to South Armagh to visit her and we've all benefited from that. You know, the rising tide lifted all the boats. You know, we were able to hear great legendary musicians, we were able to play with them, we were able to admire them.
She was accompanying Sean in all these venues and all these concerts and all these pubs. And Sean, for whatever reason, he never invited her to do a duet or to play the fiddle on stage for her. And she was composing and playing some lovely fiddle playing. She had a beautiful cultured style, no non-rushing, and a beautiful classical style of playing as well. Josephine Keegan was a serious musician.
There was plenty happening in London. There wasn't much money for it, but there was... say that session in the Plough on a Monday night would have been, the Galtymore would have been Friday, Saturday and Sunday. There'd be a Sunday morning session somewhere else, and maybe a couple of nights off. There might have been a Thursday night session maybe somewhere as well, you know. So I was busy. And I was teaching as well, and, you know, teaching school.
My son Kevin, who unfortunately died suddenly on the 3rd of September 2010, sudden adult death syndrome. We don't know why, just his brain stopped, his heart stopped. Josephine knew Kevin, and she was obviously devastated by Kevin's death. And a few weeks after it, I was up calling with her, and she played that tune for me.
When I heard of the death of Kevin, it was a kind of, you know, the keening that they used to do. Well, it was a kind of a natural sort of keening that came in my head. I wrote down a tune for Kevin, and Tommy has that now and plays it on the pipes. And
the first part of the tune, the high part, what was in her mind, what was motivating her was the sound of keening, that high-pitched keening. And then the second part, which was down very, very low and very, very harsh nearly, that was the despair that she felt, and indeed, of course, we all felt too. So it's a special tune, and we've never played it publicly before. wouldn't become aware of Josephine because she was pushing herself. You became aware of her because other people were talking about her and other people had experienced playing with her. Culmination of it, certainly for me, was to see her receive the Granham Ceol. And like so many things came together that night, all her composition work was properly acknowledged, I thought, and her history. I mean, people make history in music long after they're gone. There's very few people who do it while they're still around. And I think it's tremendous to be able to enjoy that with her and to watch her enjoy it as well.
I never knew I was a Commodore until I got my grammar. And that's what they called me. So I never considered myself a composer.
Tá an dúchas le brach go sméir I gceol nuachama Josephine Keegan. Tá an irid sin blianta caite ag éisteach agus ag fálam agus ag móna agus lé leis an ceol go tuiscint anna dain ar struchtúr an ceol agus tá si comáisian an piano agus an siúlachan go struchtúr na chords agus chuile rud faoin ceol go sin an tuiscint sin a hort agus I ag cuma ceol chumá agus is cinnte go mbeidh anna háire le chuid ceol na glúnta tá rán agus tá an irid sin cuma go dóga sé fiú beidir chuige nó 8 bliain is dócha go mbeidh gachtainna tar éis an irid sin ceol ála maith.
Well, I never started composing, really. I never was aware that I was composing. I did my first solo record. I came back on fiddle. I hadn't played fiddle for years. And I was putting sets together for an LP in 1976. And I was playing a tune and I was wondering what would come after it. And I just sort of fiddled about with the fiddle and the tune came out, you know. So that was the Curlews.
Muckle and Kader Culmission piece of shin near us and come Josephine, because a couple of sessions, a canter, couple of culture art, Josephine, Shenman piece of shin. So we on the broad no Holamaker come Josephine piece of shin, which is jazz school, she's a lot, Slender Shocks sessions and Ishakas, it's the Kearney Negus for machine. Curmacester fi na piece chumshi agus an dói chumshi na rian agus na portas rudi mission agus sturchilum gro beidir she shasu gan injog need a sai hisa chaks agus it's a kistin agus just tagan phone bag this agus tin chicken piano and open like tugging she system fidget screaming she market gast agus shin tusen piece of ceol ura.
She doesn't do flash. She's modest in every way. And it's only as you get to know her that you begin to see the depth to Josephine and the character and the humour and the talent and the creativity and the energy and the sharp, sharp intelligence. I mean, this is a smart lady. She's leaving us all standing in terms of her capacity to manage computers, Sibelius, all sorts of things. I mean, if I have a piece of music I need written out and I can do it, it's much easier to tape it and send it to Josephine and she'll email it back to me, having printed it out on Sibelius.
I can do my emails and keep in touch with people everywhere. I use it then after I have scribbled out my tunes and that. I have a system that I can type it in properly. But I'm in touch with people in Nova Scotia that I never met who send me tunes and I send tunes to them. And, you know, there's a great friendship in music.
Dietfara Groshi mar Cree and Kjol sa cantar seo agus sílam gúilte da orin go dinne machasaul Josephine and Shaw a ro bui and ceol eki agus sainolalas an ceol géalach eki. Is yomi dinne a dólam wuhi agus is omi dinne a fúr buntastin ceol wuhi.
There are quite a few musicians around here. One of the best fiddle players, I suppose, around here would be Niall Murphy, that has 3 times won the Fiddler Royal. The junior one first and then the senior one twice, but he's going to be hard to beat. He's a twin sister who plays the fiddle, who's a lovely player as well, but he comes from an extended family of musicians. The music is coming down the generations there, you know. A lot of people think of me as a teacher, and other people think of me as a musician. Music teacher is a word that I can't agree with somehow or other. I've heard it said once upon a time that you cannot teach music to anybody. You can help somebody to learn if it's there. You need some sense of rhythm and you need some sense of tone and, you know, melody. And if you haven't got that, I don't think it can be done.
Tugan si ansprago don phobal an seo ó híomh an ceol de. Ar fána mblianta bhíú na slúite daoine óga ag dul heici le technicí figileireacht na hÉireann na ólam agus de rinn si sár idiléirí de go leor daoine óga an seo.
I've helped a lot of people. I then, as I say, helped them to learn. Anyone that was keen on learning and you know, I helped a lot of people along the way. And in this last number of years, or this last 10 years, I suppose, we got a thing going with fiddle players mostly, of all ages, from 9-year-old to myself when I was coming up on 70, and we formed a fiddle group and met every week and played our tunes, and it's a great sound getting all those fiddles together, up on 20 fiddles all together.
Tíomh muoi de ceard an ceol agus de bhua an ceol atá eici, tá rud éigean ionta táhachtach deanta eici ar son muintir na háite seo. Béidirnach naithníonn siad in is a seachar go bhfuil an ceol seo an agus i gcónaí nuair atá sí ar chlín foirinne agus am Virginia go léir chlín foirinne marthaí an ceol seo ina dé go deá margheall ar an éachta tá deanta eici na bailíochain sin agus na cnúisí sin a chur a gló.
There's a real solidity to what's being brought. There's a lifetime of music, and I think one of her earlier books or publications was called Life's Work. It was 4 CDs of music, of her music, played by people that for the most part she had taught throughout her life. So, you know, when you do things, when you achieve that kind of stature among people who love music, you'll fit in anywhere. Anywhere she'll go in the world, and even today, people will come to meet her, you know.
Happy childhood, good parents, 2 sisters, married a good man, have 2 boys, 2 girls, 13 grandchildren. So life can't be bad at that. The music was a great consolation all the way through, and still is. And there's still much more to do. Talking about writing tunes and there's still an awful lot more to do.